I'm Kenton Claremont, and you're listening to the Train to Hunt podcast. Dude, there he is. He's coming in. Get ready. Welcome to the podcast. This is Kenton Claremont, your host, and I'm with Jesse Wise, and we are honored to be sitting down with Kristy Titus. Now,
hey, Kristy.
Most of you probably know who Kristy Titus is, but for those of you that don't, Kristy, give them a quick rundown on who you are.
Oh, boy.
Start at probably what you got going on right now. How about that?
Currently, some of my biggest stuff I have going on is I launched my own digital series this year, which is on Amazon TV and YouTube, and then I also post onto Facebook, but it's called Pursue the Wild. And it's a digital platform where I have big game hunts, shooting sports episodes, and tips and tactics. And it's just a great place for people to go. Every Monday at 5 p.m. Pacific Standard Time, I post a new piece of content. So I treat it like a network, so you can count on that. And then one of the other big things I have going on right now is I'm up for election for the National Rifle Association Board of Directors. So I'm asking that anybody that is a voting member of the NRA, so if you are either a life member or you've been a member for 5 consecutive years, to go ahead and help maybe support and give me your vote on that. I'm looking forward to continuing to serve NRA. Currently, I'm on their Hunting and Wildlife Conservation Committee, so I'm trying to expand the service that I provide people that are wanting to not only continue but strengthen our Second Amendment.
Right on. Cool. You got a few things going on.
Yeah.
And that's a pretty big. Just those two alone are a pretty big deal.
Yeah.
But then you got. The Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation.
Yeah, I still work with them, and then I'm working with National Wild Turkey Federation this year on some conservation pieces. So I'll do conservation work for RMEF, conservation work for NWTF this year. I've got still writing for Western Hunter Magazine, obviously. Doing a lot of work, building some new relationships, a lot of big brand changes this year, and I'm excited to be welcoming some new members and companies to my team, which I'll be announcing later this spring. And I'm kind of assembling, I joke, I'm assembling what I call my ride or die team. I want a team of people and partnerships in my personal life and professional life that are people that I respect, have mutual respect for the products that they manufacture, and likewise their belief in what I do and who I am as a sportswoman. And I'm trying to assemble a team that, we are there for each other, we believe in each other, and we support each other through thick or thin. If they're down, I'm down. Mm-hmm. If I'm up, they're up. And that's really, the Wilderness Athlete is a relationship for me that I've had from the inception of any interest in the outdoor as far as a profession or as an industry instead of a hobby. And that, Wilderness Athlete's always going to be on my ride or die team. If they're having something great, I'm celebrating. If I'm, celebrating something, they're celebrating with me. And that's the kind of team I'm putting together this year. So I'm pretty excited about that. I
bet. And so on that note, being an outdoors woman, and you're talking about how long you've been in the industry, what's the journey been like? Because, I don't think it's any secret that it's been a heavily male dominated industry for quite a while, up until what do you think would be a safe say, maybe 10 years ago, maybe less?
Yeah.
What's it like? Because I think you're I know you're well respected, and there's more women who are well respected in the industry. Give our listeners an idea about what it's like to try to be, make a living and be who you are, because you've done a heck of a job, Kristy.
Well, when I started in being I hate the word industry, because this is our life, right? This is our hobby, this is our passion.
Right.
And I don't want to call it an industry, because this is my culture, Yeah. But when I entered the hunting world as a young girl, number one, I had no girlfriends that hunted. I never had friends in school. I had a really hard time fitting in, and there just wasn't girls that did what I do. They had nothing. My best friend was a boy, and we would ride mules and do things. And in my early 20s, I started getting involved in nonprofits, specifically Safari Club International. And I ended up being a chapter president, and I lobbied in Washington with them and done some great things for conservation on a pack kind of side of life. But I started doing seminars on the West Coast on big game hunting because I helped She Safari rebrand from She Safari to She Outdoor Apparel. I actually designed the current She logo that you'll see in Bass Pro and helped with that corporate restructure. And there was no girls that would hardly show up to my seminars. And I said to these vendors, okay, if you guys book my women's clothing, this is new, it's not being done, but if you book my clothing, I'll show up at the stores, I will do seminars and try to get women inspired to do things in the outdoors. And since then, obviously, the landscape of the culture of hunting has transformed.
Yeah.
And I'm really, really proud to have been part of that. I mean, I helped She Safari launch and do their rebrand from She Safari to She Outdoor Apparel. I helped Under Armour launch their women's hunt division. I helped Cabela's launch Outfit Her Clothing. So I've been a part of and had an integral role in the landscape of female hunting of apparel as we know it. And it has completely changed from when I started, and the level of appreciation of women being involved in the sport has changed. And I think that's important because obviously when a woman is active in a family or a household, the entire house participates. If just the dad goes and does stuff, it's really easy for the kids to stay in bed and stay behind. When the woman's going, that's not an option anymore, and the entire family becomes activated. So I mean, I'm really blessed and proud and thankful that our culture has made this change, and having so many women out there now.
Why do you think that more women aren't following your lead? Like, as far as like, do you think that there's still an intimidation factor out there? Do you think that it's what do you think? Why do you think that is? Why do you think there's just more women?
I think there is more women joining all the time. Obviously, it's the fastest growing segment in elk hunting specifically, and I think it's also in deer hunting. We were just kind of talking about this off camera. I am in the competitive shooting world, and I'm shooting competitive long range precision rifles, and I will be lucky if there's a woman at a match. And I don't know what the disconnect is on the firearm side. I'm still experiencing a lot of online bullying from men on the shooting sports side, which is very astounding to me. And I get pretty
fired up.
Well, I'm like a bomb going off. And so I have a lot of energy. And so when someone gets me and they start attacking me, and it's like, all right, man, like, if you think you're so great and I'm so horrible at what I'm doing, show up and beat me.
Yeah.
Simple as that. Simple as that. And it's not that I think I'm the greatest, because I am a student of the gun. I'm a student of archery. I'm a student of the outdoors. I'm a student of life. And I believe that we never stop learning. And the more you learn, the less you know, right? I mean, it's just... But I'm showing up and I'm trying. And I think for a lot of women, as far as the shooting sports side and the competitive side, it's still a little intimidating because there is a little bit of bullying going on still. And somebody that maybe isn't as broad-shouldered as me might not be able to handle it. I mean, instead of me walking away, I put my fist up. I'm like, all right, let's go, you know. And a lot of people... they'll back off. And so I'm hoping to see the firearms culture transform in the way that the hunting culture is now transforming.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. So you were talking about having all these shooting. Can you give us an idea about where you're going to go in case there's some guys out there right now that are like,
I want to shoot a match with her.
Let's go. I want to shoot a match with Kristy, or some women out there that are like, where's she going to be? I want to go shoot. Yeah.
So I'm shooting the PRS series and the NRL series both. So PRS, I'm shooting a match in Kentucky in March. I'm shooting a match in Alabama in April, and I'm shooting club matches on the West Coast as well. So smaller scale, one-day matches. The larger matches are 2-day matches. And I'm traveling kind of all over the country right now. I'm navigating my schedule currently, but I've got a club match in Tillamook, Oregon on the 17th of February. I'm going back east to do some training in Georgia the following weekend, kind of in preparation for my upcoming national match. So the series they're easy to follow, and there's a lot of really awesome women that are stepping up and shooting. And I've met some great families that are doing it. It's just a smaller market, and I'd love to see more girls get involved.
And what do these matches look like? Somebody might be like, "Man, I'd like to do it," but how many rounds? What the targets look like?
Usually, the rounds are about 120 rounds a day, and so you want to shoot a gun that's really super recoil and great ballistic coefficient. So I'm shooting a 6mm Creedmoor this year. It's a Ruger precision rifle. It's a very affordable rifle for everybody to get into, around $1,100. Put an optic on it. The thing with long range is you have to have some background knowledge on data, atmospheric conditions. I mean, you can have somebody just give you your atmospherics and you can dial.
Sure.
There's some girls I'm seeing show up at matches that don't understand the backside of what's kind of happening from the bullets as far as trajectory goes based on density, altitude, and your ballistic coefficients and muzzle velocity. Some of them don't know that. That's fine. Find somebody that can help you get your data and show up at the matches and shoot. But the matches are interesting. They do different stages. You'll run through, typically you'll have 8 to 10 stages a day. They're short. They'll have a round count, 9 or 10 rounds. You'll have 90 seconds. And maybe you'll start out on a barricade and you'll be standing and you'll have to shoot a target at 600 at one position on the barricade, and then transition to the other side of the barricade and shoot another target at 400, rebuild your position, engage. Go to a third position, that target might be at 300, shoot that one, and then go to another position and re-engage at 700. Or it might all be the same yardage or whatever. So you're moving, you're shooting, you have to dial. A lot of stages they'll do, you'll get up on like a tank trap or a rooftop and you'll be reticle holes only. So if you don't know how to use your reticle and your optic, or how that functions at different levels of magnification based on if it's front focal plane or rear focal plane. So you have to have a little bit of gear comprehension. But what this translates into, if you think about it from a hunting standpoint, is when we're in the field, we're under a stress. Like, this deer is going to be out of the meadow, and if we don't break a clean shot, he's going to be gone into the forest.
Yeah.
Okay, well, we can't get prone. So have you ever practiced shooting kneeling? Have you ever practiced standing off a tripod? Have you ever practiced dropping a bipod leg and throwing your gun up against a tree? Do you even have a bipod on your rifle?
Right.
Do you know how to use your reticle? If the wind is blowing 10 miles an hour, do you have a reticle inside your optic that you can use to hold for wind and adjust for wind conditions? Or, all of these things in practice from a PRS, NRL standpoint apply to more success and downrange hits on big game animals. And I think as hunters, it's a natural progression for us to go into that series. I'm filming a really cool PRS match in Kentucky this year that I'm hoping will inspire some hunters to start getting out there, because it's just like being on a hunt. But you're hunting targets.
Yeah.
And you're under this ultimate pressure, and it's a huge adrenaline dump. My last match, I had guys that were just like shaking, and they're like, ah, and they couldn't get it together, and they couldn't calm down, and they're like, like literally just jacked up. I'm like, dude, calm down. They're like, how are you so calm? I'm like, I don't know. I hunt for a living.
Yeah.
This is a target. If I shoot it wrong, it's not going to be crippled. I miss a point.
So, Kristy, is the pressure just to shoot well, or is it timed? Or
it's timed, and it's so it's round hits or misses.
Yep.
So sometimes they'll have like a minute of angle target or a 2 minute of angle target, which means like at 100 yards, a minute of angle target would be 1 inch.
Okay.
At 400 yards, a minute of angle target would be a 4-inch target. So a lot of the target sizes, generosity of that would change. So at 400 yards, a 2-minute target would be an 8-inch target. So it just depends. The target sizes will change based on the yardage, and that just makes you have to be more accurate. So let's say, you're at 600 yards and you have to hit a 1-minute target. That's a 6-inch target. If it's a 2-minute target, you have to hit a 12-inch target. So it means that your level of being able to miss is decreased.
Yeah.
So you're doing that under time constraints and round counts, and they tally up your scores at the end of the match and see how you do under pressure. And I had, mechanical failures in my last match. I had a magazine I inserted, and I did the spring in the magazine didn't engage properly. And so the case of my round wasn't sticking up for the bolt to grab it. So I tried to cycle it twice. Didn't happen. I had to drop my mag in the middle of a stage, pound my mag on the ground, reinsert my mag, and get back on target. It cost me the whole stage. So mentally, though, you're having to prepare for adversity same way you would on it's the same concept as trained to hunt.
Yeah. I was thinking the same thing. Yeah.
I mean, some of our matches are backpacking. So I did a match last year in New Hampshire. We hiked over 6 miles.
Yeah, that's
stage to stage to stage all day long.
You're
packing your food, you're packing your water, and you hit a stage, you move on. You hit a stage, you move on. It's rain, it's sun. It's this. I mean, it's awesome, and I'm hoping that more hunters kind of activate into this arena. It's very affordable to do really similar equipment.
So all you rifle hunters out there, men and women, you better grab your rifles, get some knowledge base, and get out there and do. It sounds like there's enough of them around the country.
They're all over.
They're easy to find. I know that the only one I know about out here in the West is the Vortex Challenge. I know that one's, or the Vortex Extreme
Sniper Challenge. Yeah, so, that one's a great challenge. But there's literally a match if you're willing to travel. Yeah, like every weekend.
Every weekend,
pretty much.
So there you go, you guys. Is there an easy way for them to like maybe just Google?
Yeah, go on PRS.com or go on the NRL website, which is National Rifle League. There's also Competition Dynamics, which is a little different. The Competition Dynamics, you actually have to use your binoculars, locate your targets, range estimate them, build your shooting position, and engage under time and round count.
That's unreal.
Yeah, so. I've got a buddy in Oregon that does it, John Pinch.
Oh, John's awesome. He's a great shooter.
An amazing shooter.
That's unreal.
Yeah.
So switching gears real quick, I just wanted to make sure that we don't get through this episode without thanking you publicly for what you did for the Train to Hunt Challenge last year in making their film. And like, I got nothing but amazing feedback, totally inspirational for everybody. And for those of you that don't know what I'm talking about, Kristy had a bad knee injury last year that she was recovering from. And she kind of took us all on this journey. Where can they find that, by the way?
On my YouTube channel. Yeah, so if you just go youtube.com/pursue the wild, it'll be on Amazon eventually. I haven't got everything closed captioned and uploaded, but
that's where they can find it. So she busts her knee up bad in like a snowmobile accident, right? And she was on a hunt. We're going to get into her hunting here in a second. And she kind of brings us along on this journey to recovery and like no excuses, and we're going to do this anyway. And I'd committed to this, I'm going to make it happen. And then she came out and did the Train to Hunt Challenge in Oregon. And
that's where I met Jesse.
Yeah, that's where she met Jesse. And then made a video. It's a must-see video. Anyway, I wanted to say thanks for making it. It was unreal. And on that note, are you going to come out again this year? Are you going to have time?
I don't know. We Jesse and I were just talking about that from a scheduling standpoint. It's going to depend on how I finish my match series. I got a club finale in May on the same date as your guys' match, so our competition. So I don't know. We have to see how it shakes out. But that was Train to Hunt was totally different than what. It's different than what I thought it was going to be. It's the same thing as like my rifle competitions. Yeah. Everybody's so worried about getting beat, and mentally, I'm not as fast as them. I'm not as good as them. Sorry, I'm just not even, I'm going to throw in the towel before I even start.
Right.
And even I was intimidated, and especially this year, like having an injury. Yeah. But that was also for me, my motivation. Because I committed to the Train to Hunt before I was hurt. Yep. And so when I was going through recovery, I thought, okay, it's like, bedridden and whatever, learning to walk, whatever, but I'm going to show up. And if I'm on crutches, I'm going to do it on crutches, whatever. But I mean, I didn't have to do that. I did pretty well. But the welcoming of the community and just from the standpoint of the brotherhood and the fellowship and the love that is transpired between people, I was very emotional. It's very powerful. And you'll hear testimony all the time of men and women that say, look, doing this has changed my marriage. It's changed my life. It's improved my health. It is not about who wins. Right. Everybody that shows up is already won. You're already beating the guy that's maybe talking smack that didn't. I could do better than him. He didn't shoot that good at that. All these armchair quarterbacks, right? Yeah. Like, forget you. Just show up and have fun. And if somebody beats you, shake their hand because they earned it. Yeah, they beat you.
And
Who cares?
And you will. Yeah. Right? That's the other thing is you will. And it's the one thing that I've noticed about our competitions is that if you're not the type of person that isn't willing to go up and be like, man, good job, then you don't you either don't show up to begin with or you don't come back. Like, they're pretty quickly weeded out. And I can't remember ever seeing somebody come through there that I was like, wow, that person was a real asshole or whatever,
Yeah, well, they should not come back. Yeah, It doesn't happen and it does happen, but I see it in elk calling too. So there's so many girls that are out here right now saying they're big elk hunters and they're doing this and that. None of them show up for the World's Elk Calling Championships. And I don't care how good you are. Yeah. Show up and support the industry. Support women. Represent. And there's a girl last year named Lydia Smith. She's 20 years old. She picked up an elk diaphragm 1 month before the competition last year and beat like 10-time world champion Misty Jacobson. She beat her.
Yeah.
Like,
Wow.
if you have the will, there's a way. And sometimes
Absolutely.
the path isn't necessarily that long. Like, you have to at least try.
Yep.
Don't be afraid.
Agreed.
Yep.
And I mean, your drive, Kristy, is unreal. But one of the things I'm trying to do from all of our guests is try to pull out, like, where in the world does this come from? Like, do you even know, like, where does this drive come from to be like, I'm going to succeed. I don't care if I did break my leg. I'm gonna do this, and I'm gonna do everything I can to get back, and nothing's gonna stop me. Like, when things get tough, like on a hunt in life, what keeps you marching forward?
I was bullied as a kid extremely bad. I was very overweight. I've struggled with my weight my entire life.
Okay.
My nephew is extremely overweight. My family just has that tendency, and I went through a certain point, and all my friends had dates to the prom, and I would go with a buddy, and then he'd ditch me, and life just sucked for me as a kid, right?
Okay.
And at some point, I just said, I'm over it.
Mm-hmm.
I don't have to feel like this anymore. I don't have to surround myself with people that make me feel bad about who I am.
Mm-hmm.
I can choose my own path, and I became my own leader because there wasn't a woman in the hunting world being that leader. And I thought, well, if there's something I want to learn, if there's a girl, maybe she wants to learn it too. If it's a guy, maybe he wants to learn it too. I started organizing and activating community events. And that's where I ended up going with SCI from being on the board to vice president to president. I mean, I had 300 members in my chapter. And when it came to fitness, I got tired of being the fat girl that just felt horrible all the time.
Yeah.
I ate whatever I wanted. I was depressed. You know, I had no friends, and it just, I rode my mules. I hung out with my dad and my mom, and I did nothing, which nothing has changed. That's all I do anyway. But,
other than, travel the world.
I took control, and there's a couple things in life that we can control. We can control how we treat our body.
Yeah.
How we exercise, what we eat. We can control our destiny. So if there's something we want to do, we live in the United States of America. It's the greatest country on earth. The only one that stops us from learning or doing is ourselves.
Yep.
And if you say, I can't afford to go to college, I can't afford this or that, you don't have to go to college to get an education. There's so much knowledge out there for free. Like, I was listening yesterday morning to Frank, the guy that does Sniper's Hide. He does a podcast, and I was sitting there learning about G1 and G7 drag profiles on ballistics. So on, where your muzzle velocity matters and when you start jacking with BCs, and now Hornady has a new app that's got, they take the drag, the G7, G1 drag profile out of it, and because your bullet BC will change in flight due to aerodynamic heating. And so I'm learning all this stuff.
Yeah.
And I don't have to go to college for that. It's free.
Yeah, there's so much education out there, and there's so many platforms as well.
Yeah.
Like, you got your podcast, you got YouTube, you got, what are those things that you turn the pages?
The books. Oh, yeah, the whole book thing. Ooh. Well, and that's what I've tried to do with my YouTube channel, is teach.
Yeah.
So I did a tip last week on why you should have a bipod on the forend of your hunting rifle. And I see outdoor industry people taking pictures, and they're building these shooting positions, and I'm like, I want to take my face and just smash my palm into it. It's horrible. Get a little training.
Yeah.
Learn how to use your equipment. Don't post these pictures that you're not using your tools the way you should be. It's like having a bow without a stabilizer on the front of it. It's like, what are you doing?
Yeah. Education, right?
Exactly.
It's education.
So I'm trying to create a platform for that. When it comes to elk calling, I've got tips, tactics on, how to make your first sound, how to make advanced sounds. So I'm trying to help reach out there and just do something different,
Good. And it's, really an unintimidating way to approach. If anybody's out there who's like maybe intimidated by going to a seminar or going to a show or going, what a great way to be able to go and get educated on how to, I don't know, I want to learn how to elk call, but I don't know where to start, And
and we all start somewhere. And so the people The people that don't even try are the ones I feel sorry for.
Yeah, because
I just wrote an article about fitness for Western Hunter because I gained 10 pounds this year, and I've really been struggling with trying to get my health, body, strength back.
Yeah.
And I started January this year, and I felt almost overwhelmed. It's the heaviest I've been since I was that fat kid in high school. And it was depressing.
Yeah.
Like, how did I get here?
Mm-hmm.
And I thought, how can I be athletic and fit if I'm not training in the gym?
Right.
I have this great excuse if I was on the road and in the field, whatever it is what it is. But you can't be anything that you're not willing to work for.
Yeah. Yeah, that's absolutely
when it
true.
comes to anything.
No, you can have success, or you can be successful, or you can make excuses, but you can't make both. You can't do both. You know what I mean? And it's a good point. It's a hard lesson to learn, but it's a really important reality that people need to come to grips with, is that I am in control of my own destiny.
Yeah.
If I find myself saying, man, I just can't do that, or I just couldn't see myself doing that, you really need to figure out like what it is that's blocking, what's stopping you. Who's telling you that you can't do this other than yourself?
Mm-hmm.
And is it, if it feels overwhelming, I always say you can't eat an elephant in a bite. Start. So when it especially comes to fitness or education or anything like this, imagine if you were just to watch one educational video on elk calling and like you watched and practiced just 10 minutes a day. Just 10 minutes a day. There was 356 days in a year, right?
Yeah, 65.
65 days in a year.
65. Wait, let me count on my fingers. Hold on.
That's a lot of time in 1 year. Now imagine if you did it for 5 years, just 10 minutes. Yeah. It's the same thing as like just trying to just get up and do something. Stop sitting in the chair saying I can't. Get up and take a step. So it's a big deal, and I think that anybody who is a great timing is February. It's a great timing for people to hear the message of, yes, you can. Mm-hmm. It's just a matter of discipline.
And we all get scared.
Sure, we do.
We all get scared.
We
all get intimidated. Yeah. We all go through that where you may look up to someone and it feels insurmountable. I could never be like them. I could never do what they do.
Right.
But why not?
Yeah. Yeah. And you don't want to be like anybody else anyway. Be like you, Like,
well, you know what I mean.
I do know what you're saying. I know what you're saying. It's like, it's just a matter of like deciding to be disciplined enough to do something every day. Mm-hmm. You don't have to take these giant steps. And that's the biggest problem with people deciding that they were going to reach these goals. They set them so high in the sky, and they don't think about how they're going to get there. They don't think about the ladder. If you're going to climb, a 1,000-story building, it's going to be one step at a time. You're not going to be able to jump to the 5th floor and then jump to the 10th floor. You have to think, okay, today I'm going to take this step. Tomorrow I'm going to take the next step. And before you know it, you're going to be at the top of the building. But we're a fast food nation. We want everything now.
I deserve this. If they have it, I want it too, and I don't want to work for it.
Yep. So for those of you out there that are really struggling with goals, just think of it as do something. If you're standing still, you're going nowhere. Think about this. If you're standing still, you're probably sliding backwards. So take a step forward. Mm-hmm. Just one step every day is going to make a huge difference. It's going to add up. So persistence is the way to go. So are we being overrun here?
I don't know.
I think we're all right.
Okay. I think we're good. Okay. Yeah. I mean, I like that, that you noticed, Kristy, just like this, something that you're just fed up with, and you're like, all right, I got it. I'm going to change it. Like, I'm not going to blame anybody for my problems. I'm going to change it. And that kind of, I'm sitting here as an example of that, right? Train to Hunt is like, it changed my life, and I'm going to, and I had that choice. I sat there and I'm like, I want to do that. It was intimidating, like 1,000%.
Yeah.
Like I'm gonna show up there and there's gonna be all these buff dudes there, and I'm gonna
exactly
because
Kenton.
Because I'm running through the forest with my shirt off. That was a long time ago, by the way.
Yeah, but it's just like I was super intimidated, but I'm like, I have to do it. Like I cannot not do it. And man, ever since then, man, I'm here.
Look where you are, yeah.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
One small step, one decision, yeah.
And it it's still amazing. And I mean, my life's changing, you know. And I mean, by the time this podcast airs, you know, it's going to change a heck of a lot more.
Yeah,
you know. I mean, I'm like, I sit there at home and I'm like talking to Amanda. I'm like, babe, I can't stay at my job. I am wasting away. Mm-hmm. I am not using my full potential to what God's given me. I have to keep going. Mm-hmm. I have to move on. I don't care. It's not about money. It's about my life. Mm-hmm. It's about teaching my kids, hey, take advantage of opportunities to just go, just do, experience something, mm-hmm. and move forward and keep going.
Absolutely. And taking ownership in your life is a big deal. And that's what it sounds like you did.
Well, I think one of the downfalls that our culture has right now is the comparison.
Sure.
Everybody's on social media, and you're looking every day at what you're comparing. What is everybody all doing? Mm-hmm. They have these perfect families. They have these perfect marriages. They're perfect athletes. They're perfect archers. They're perfect shooters or whatever.
Right.
And mentally, you paint whatever picture you want because it's not real. Like it's your perception of their reality. You don't even know. But I think what we have to start doing is not compare ourselves, but be the best version of us.
Yeah.
And I really have a hard time, you know, with I feel bad for a lot of young girls growing up right now that have to see what they're seeing on social media. It's a lot of really unrealistic expectations. Body image and things like that. I mean, I had self-esteem issues as a kid, and I wasn't looking at Kim Kardashian, you know, growing up, or I don't even know if that's a good example, but I don't know anybody else who to talk about, like, because I don't watch TV, so that is the first name that came to mind, you know. Like,
point being, you didn't have as much, there wasn't so much in your face.
Exactly, like booty implants and all this stuff, like.
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't figured it out already, like Instagram, nobody's going to go out and shoot a set of 3 arrows that one missed the target, one barely hit it, and the other one like broke. And they're not going to take a picture of that and put like, hey, I'm practicing on Instagram. That's why.
Or they're shooting a 20-yard group and they're saying it's 60. You don't know.
Or you know, no girls waking up and taking a picture of themselves first thing in the morning and being like, good morning, everybody.
I look like crap. I just got out of bed.
It's always going to be the best versions of themselves. Yes. Their marriage, their life, their looks, their shooting ability. Everything's going to be the highlights of everybody's lives goes on Instagram and Facebook and that kind of thing. So
I try to keep it real.
You got to, Kristy.
So my match last weekend, every stage before I shot, I said, this is the stage. This is the round count. This is the situation. I shot it and I briefed it. This is how I shot. These are the mistakes I made. This is what I learned.
Yeah.
Hit or miss. It's real. And I do that all the time when I'm shooting a bow. Okay, 60-yard first shot. Run. I shoot the bow, grab the phone, run down range. Here's where I hit you guys. Like, no BS.
Yeah.
Like, keep it real because we all shoot off target. We all miss. And the best thing we can do is inspire someone to at least try.
Absolutely.
And if we act like we're perfect, it makes it harder for somebody else because we're not perfect.
That's right. And you're exactly right, Kristy, in that if somebody can look at your Instagram page, for instance, and be like, oh, Kristy misses? Like, oh, so like I'm not that much different than she is. Like, oh, okay. You're gonna inspire, you're gonna boost somebody's confidence, like where they thought, man, I can't believe how bad of a shot I am, or whatever, and then they see that, oh, Kristy misses.
My pilot episode for my series that I sold my entire digital package off of was I missed a 6-point bull elk on public land. I mean,
it doesn't get more real than that.
I mean, it's it was a long shot. I hit a little tiny limb. I missed. Whatever happened. That is the reality of bow hunting.
Absolutely.
And it was a great hunt. It was with my dad. We had a great trip. And I wanted to tell the story. And that was the story I was telling. And I'll own a miss. I'll own a hit. I'll own success. I'll own failure. And you just, got to learn to be real.
Absolutely. I know that we're rubbing up against time. But before I let you go, Kristy, I want you to tell us one hunting story. Because I know you did a lot of hunting. Give us a hunt, like a story that stuck out in your mind this year.
I did a hunt with a girl named Jennifer Gallego this year, and you guys go on my website under the elk hunting, or on YouTube under elk hunting. Her story is just called Jennifer, or go on Rocky Mountain Elk Foundation's YouTube page and watch it. She's a 16-year-old girl that has cystic fibrosis, which currently right now there's no cure for. The average life expectancy is 30-something. She's 16, so she currently has about 50% lung capacity. So take half of what you can breathe and cut it in half. I took her elk hunting this year. And every morning, she wakes up in the morning and she has a machine that beats her lungs to get phlegm out. She takes about 40 pills a day. She feeds herself through a feeding tube sometimes, and sometimes she can eat food orally. She's on antibiotics and meds, and she was inspired by Kristy Titus. And if you guys don't know her, I did a hunt with her. She's an amputee that was wounded in combat. Kristy went sheep hunting and became a sheep hunter and overcame. She went through 3 amputations. Jennifer saw her story last year at the sheep show and cried and told her dad. She said, "I don't want to die before I'm a mountain hunter." I'm going to cry. Gosh, guys. So she is almost completed her slam of sheep right now, and I took her elk hunting. And it was the most incredible experience because her dad didn't come. Her mom came, and her mom's not a hunter. And when you watch the episode, it's very powerful because the mom's perspective, she's a pediatrician, and she's always the one, does Jennifer have her meds? Does Jennifer have this? And like taking care of her health. And on this hunt, she got to see her daughter through eyes of, not that I need to take care of my daughter because she's sick, but through the eyes of, my daughter is 16 years old and she is strong and capable. And is she strong because she has cystic fibrosis, or is it the other way around? Is she strong because of cystic fibrosis? It's hard to say, but she is a mentally strong kid, and she said, I am going to live my life. I can only breathe half as good as you do, but I'm going to hunt sheep, I'm going to hike mountains, and I'm going to do it until I can't anymore. And then I'm going to watch my videos, and I'm going to inspire other kids. And we have 400,000 views on that episode through Facebook alone right now, because there's so many other people. When you talk about, I can't, why not?
Yeah.
There are some people that can't do that.
Sure.
And I get that, but there are things they can do.
Yeah.
Take Josh Carney, my good friend.
Yeah.
He's in a wheelchair, and he just had a heart attack over ATA and spent 2 weeks in the hospital. That kid will still be out turkey hunting this year.
Wow. I didn't realize that, Josh. I didn't know that.
Yeah. So he's dealing with some stuff, he's dealing with some medical, but you'll still see him hunting deer. He's in his track share. He's going out.
You're not stopping that. You're not gonna stop it.
And it's just, I think people, especially if you have kids with insecurities or that aren't good at sports or are really struggling in life, watch some of these stories.
Yeah.
Subscribe to the Wounded Warrior Outdoors YouTube page and watch some of those warriors overcome.
Yeah.
And it is so inspiring on what the body is capable if the mind will let it go there.
Cool.
So that's what I would close it
She's
out
an amazing girl. I saw her speech at Sheep Show, and oh my gosh.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, like, there wasn't a dry eye in the place. Like, if you can't understand if you don't get emotional listening to that story, like, I don't know.
She's an incredible kid.
Check your pulse, because she's awesome.
Well, not only is she overcoming CF, her family created a private label bottle of wine that they mix every year and they sell. And the money from that wine goes directly back to CF research. So Jennifer's family, they have raised over $200,000 for CF research.
Wow, that's incredible.
And the mom serves on the board, and they're making a national impact because of this one little girl, and it's very profound. And that to me was one of the most impactful things that I've done as a human. That's
unreal. What a cool opportunity for both of you. Yeah. And I mean, Kristy, I know we got to go, but I want to. My final thought's going to be, the world needs more Kristy Titus.
Yeah.
Honestly, like, forget about the hunting industry. Forget about all this stuff. We need more people that are willing to say, this is who I am. This is what I do. I want to help, and you do a great job just inspiring people, and in particular, young women. So,
thank you.
Thanks for being you. Jesse, you got any final thoughts?
Man, think you said it all, dude.
Do you have any thoughts at all?
Not really, man. I just like listening to you guys talk, and yeah.
Kristy, any final thoughts?
No, I appreciate it, and I appreciate you guys having me on, and hopefully there's somebody out there in the world that's looking up to you that if they need help, you're a great guy to reach out to. I mean, you have the full system to help people stay on track and to have that support, because a lot of it is having that mental support when things get hard, of someone to call and say, hey, I'm having a bad day, or I don't even know where to start.
Right.
Great resource.
Check us out.
You provide. Thank
you guys, Kristy Titus, check her out. She's Instagram, Facebook. She's all over YouTube. I mean, check it out.
Pursue the Wild on YouTube.
Pursue the Wild on YouTube. Thanks, Kristy.
Yeah,
thanks
Kristy.
guys.
All right, bye.